You're tuned into the Writing Community Chat Show, the live streaming YouTube podcast that brings you the stories of authors, screenwriters, and more. Indie or established, this show's for the community, and we invite you to be a part of it. Head to the writingcommunitychatshow.com for more info. The WCCS. Together as one, we get it done.
Hello and welcome to the Writing Community Chat Show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Writing Community Chat Show. Today, we've got a very special kind of open and honest show. And, I'm here with my partner in crime, Chris Hooley, as always. Chris, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm liking the lack of pressure with it just being us two. I was kind of getting myself psyched then as the interview music was playing, and I was like, gonna have to interview this person, a bit nervous. And I was like, don't worry, mate, there's no one there. It's just you.
Yeah, well, this is normally the time we introduce like a New York Times bestseller or an indie like superstar or publishing icon. But, we've done over 380 of those. And tonight we don't have to do that. We're just kind of turning the filters off. It's going to be me, you, and the audience, and questions from them throughout. So please do send them whenever you feel like it. And it can be as random as you want. This is a Q&A, but we're also going to talk about some big news. And we're talking about a very, very popular thread on Facebook about really, really popular books that people actually hate. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, I've not seen this list, so I'm looking forward to that. I do want to give a shout out to a book that I started this week. It's called Dungeon Crawler Carl. And I want to know if anyone in the chat has read it. So there's a genre called Lit RPG. And basically what it does is it brings the video game world into fiction. So the characters are as though they're in a video game. And the reason I bought the book is somebody said to me, oh, you'll love it. It's just like Hitchhiker's Guide. And obviously someone mentioning that to me, I was like, right, I've got to get it. And it's actually quite funny. There's a cat in there called Princess Donut. Do I really need to say anything else?
I don't know. It's quite intriguing.
Yeah, so basically the premise of it, the first chapter, this is not spoiling anything. Guy's going through a bit of breakup with his ex-girlfriend. She's quite posh. She's got this prized cat that she absolutely loves. And because she's left him, he's alone in his apartment and he's having a cigarette because she didn't like him smoking. So he's just having a cigarette. And the cat looks at him as though she doesn't like him smoking. So he opens the window. And then at 3 o'clock in the morning, the cat goes out and it's whining and making horrendous noises. Yeah, and he lives in this great big block. So she's stuck in a tree, this cat. So he goes outside and the only shoes he can find are his ex-girlfriend's Crocs. And they're a bit small for him. He's a big guy. He's like 6'2". And he goes out to try and rescue this cat. And as he's outside, all the buildings around him just collapse into the ground. And then this voice plays out across sort of like the sky, basically, which is very similar to Hitchhiker, saying that the world has been destroyed and it's a competition to the winner will receive the Earth's materials. So everything that's been crushed, the survivor will win that. And then it says that a cave will open up in 10 minutes. And if you want to take part in the game, you've got to head to the cave. So he does that because he's freezing. He's not dressed to be outside. So he goes in this cave. And when he gets in there, he gets attacked by 3 goblins. And they're in a tank. And then this video game element sort of starts to come into it. Then he says that he's a player, recognizes him, it gives him a health bar, gives the cat a health bar. And it advises him that he's got to seek a tutorial sort of expert. And he sees this massive rat behind a door. And he sort of heads to that massive rat. It's a bit like Splinter. But it's such a funny book and very different to anything I've read before. So I thought I'd give it a shout out and see if anyone's read it in the chat.
Do you know what? That sounds right up my street. That sounds really good. There's a series like I'm sure it's like Japanese or something, where these people they're in a train station and everyone disappears, and suddenly they're in this city that's isolated, and they go to some place, and it's like these murder games that happen. It's like a different kind of version of Squid Games, but it's kind of similar vibes to that, but with the concept of the game bar and everything. That's kind of mixing it with the gaming genre, which I really kind of enjoyed. I think that sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's a massive, massive series. There's 8 books in it.
Wow.
Apparently it's been optioned for TV and stuff as well. So, big things coming for it in the future. And yeah, like I just really like his writing style. Like he does make me laugh. So that's good.
Yeah, that sounds really funky. I'm just gonna say, throw your questions at us. As random as you like tonight. There's no guest. This is completely Q&A. And we know what you're like, the audience. So do what you like. Bear in mind your questions will be on screen. And also we're going to talk about that thread and the query clinic that's coming up very soon. We're going to talk about that as well. So if you've got questions, don't wait. Put them in now and we'll get through them. So you're going to entertain us with your questions through the show, and we're going to talk about the other things as well. But it's great to see you in the chat. Ross, as always, a pleasure. Halo, absolute legend, a pleasure. Anya, thank you so much for joining us, also a legend. And Sylvia as well. That's who we've got in the chat at the moment. And the more that tune in, the better we can enjoy random questioning. So yes, I'm just putting
I've got a question for the audience. So at level 3 or 5, I think it's 5, they can choose whether they want to remain human or change form into anything else, basically. So if you were given that option to change your form, what would you change into and why?
I like that question. What would you have you got an answer for that?
I quite like what they're called. They're pandas, but they're not. What are they?
Pandas, but not pandas.
They are panda is in the name, but I can't remember what the first bit is, and that's pretty important.
Anya is saying she'd be a fairy, and they're cool and have magic, and that really makes sense with her writing. She loves the magical world. Halo, a supernova. That also makes sense.
Red panda. That's it.
Oh, there you go.
Why could I not remember that? Yeah, red pandas. They're pretty cute, and they've got some good climbing abilities. And yeah, Princess Donut, who's the cat, when she gets to a certain level, she can talk. So talking red panda, I think, is what I would go with.
Well, obviously, being a Welshman, I'd be a glorious, fierce, but also caring red dragon.
They actually aren't pandas, Anya says. So that is, put me to shame.
We agree. Halo is already a supernova, so that's achieved. Or a vicious siren. Maybe also one of those too. Okay, are you interested to get into this thread then, Mr. Hooley?
I am indeed. Yeah, let's do it.
So what we've got on this thread that I posted on Facebook through the show, our Facebook, I know we talk about social media, working for author brands and stuff like that, and people have had real success in Facebook groups, and it's quite impressive the achievements some people have made through Facebook groups. And this one specifically has had over 360 something, similar to the show interviews, responses about books that people really love but you actually dislike. So the comments have come in their droves, and some of the answers have been repeated multiple times, and the most commented book might surprise you, but we're going to go through them, and I want your opinions in the chat as well. Do you agree with the fact that these are much loved but also actually hated by some people?
I'm going to say The Hobbit's in there.
Ooh, someone would be very smelly. I also feel like being a literal dumpster fire would be epic, and that would be smelly. So this is the thread, the Writers Forum. For those of you who are not in the Writers Forum, this has in the hundreds of thousands of members in this group, and they do have to approve certain posts. So if you're spamming it will not get seen. So that's a tip for you there. So can you just about see it? Can you see
I
that?
can see
Chris?
someone's put the Twilight Saga at the top.
There you go. So number one with 32 likes to that comment is the Twilight Saga. So being a very popular series adapted for movies, a series of movies, what do you think about the Twilight Saga being in there?
Yeah, I mean, I can see why it's in there. Obviously, great on a lot of people. It's more sort of aimed at young adults, isn't it? And then obviously a lot of people, I don't know, I kind of like it because it gets a lot of kids into reading.
Anya says this series can fuck right off, and that's the best comment I think we've had so far.
Yeah, no, I mean it does get people into reading, so I'm not going to badmouth that too much. I think any book that can sort of grip a teenager and get them onto the right path of reading is probably a good thing. And then obviously they'll discover that there are much better books out there. But as a benchmark, it's not a bad one.
We can go through these, but there's a lot of them, like I said, 324 there. June was too much, someone said there. The Da Vinci Code. And that has had a reaction of likes and shocked faces.
Yeah, again, the Da Vinci Code, I quite like it. Like, yeah, I get why people would dislike it, but in terms of, the sort of save the cat structure, the narrative there, the page turning element of it, like, again, I can't hate on the Da Vinci Code. Like, a lot of these books, does success make people hate something? That's probably part of the question.
You've got to realize that it doesn't matter how good your book is, someone's going to hate it. And it could be the best-selling book, the most best-selling book in the world, and it could be absolutely written to perfection, but people will still hate it. And interestingly, Halo just said she had a lot to say in terms of the series of Twilight, because it reminded her of an incredibly toxic relationship as a teenager that reminded her of the series. So that, in a sense, like you said, is aimed at young adults who will be going through a lot of the similar relationships and drama that is portrayed in the series. Maybe that's where the love is.
Yeah, no, definitely. And again, if there he is,
Ross
Young.
Vinci Code is it's an easy one to hate, but I can imagine Dan Brown does not give a shit or give zero shits.
Yeah, I mean, again, any sort of, I think what I admire about Dan Brown is the level of detail that he's gone into, and obviously he takes people into a world that not many writers have done successfully in terms of tying in that religion with a thriller as well. And he's got a really good baddie, the Da Vinci Code. Can't remember the name of him, but he is quite a good baddie, and there's some good scenes in there.
You want to read that comment, Chris?
I knew a drummer who was too into typology.
Symbology.
Oh, symbology. Yeah, that makes sense.
It took him a few seconds there, but yeah. Thank you, Ross. So let's go through it a little bit more. So we got.
And he says, as an art historian, I take issue with Brown's broad application of symbology.
That's why Ross said about a drummer who was too into symbology, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah.
To Kill a Mockingbird's in there.
Oh, see, I like To Kill a Mockingbird.
Harry Potter. Did you say that was what would come up?
No, I said The Hobbit.
Oh, okay. So Harry Potter, because of the billions of dollars worth of merchandise, and not to mention those theme parks. Do you think that's a valid reason to hate because of the success it's had?
I think the one reason I would say I hate Harry Potter is it's the same book multiple times, in my opinion. Like, the structure is very similar. He always starts off at school, apart from the later books. He always goes to school. There's always a problem that they have to solve, and then he goes back to his hostage situation.
But it's that thing about if it's not broke, don't fix it. And we see it so hard. Movies have been ruined for this. We got like an ultimate amount of Jurassic Park movies that have just died off. The last one I saw was terrible. We've got Fast and Furious 55 and Star Wars 1 billion, and you know what I mean? We've got so many films that are just being made and made because the companies think, regardless of how good the movie is, it will sell because of what it is. And I think that's ruining the quality. Do you think that is the same thing with Harry Potter books?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's getting a new, it's getting a TV series, so they might do something different with that.
I know a lot of people are actually boycotting the series, though.
Yeah, but as Ross has said there, you know, it's got loads of kids into reading, and if that happens, a starter point, you know, great. Like if they read through, what is there, 8 Harry Potter books and get through that, and then think, oh, this reading thing's quite good. I'll pick something else up. And I think you've always got to have a starter novel, something that sort of gets you into it, that sort of grips you. And Harry Potter's had loads of really good sort of like, not spin-offs, but people that have been inspired by it. So like Lev Grossman, who we had on the show, he wrote The Magician, which has been like labeled the Harry Potter for adults, and it is. And is it a good book? Yeah, it's a good story. So, you know, can't hate on it too much, I don't think. The only thing I will say is obviously I don't like the structure. It's very similar.
Halo says, give me 30 Fast and Furious movies with a bottle of vodka and a bag of Cheetos, and I'm a happy demon. I don't think a bottle of vodka would last me through 30 movies, probably the first one or maybe 2. Just, you know, but saying that, the first 1 or 2 weren't too bad. But moving on probably was pretty rough.
Do you know what I do like from movies, though? That and again, this could be something that people don't like. The James Bond series, the Daniel Craig storyline, I just think is brilliant. Over those 5 films,
I agree.
It's really, really good storytelling in terms of everything. Just each film just adds a new layer to the one before it, and the sort of character arc that Daniel Craig goes on is just brilliant, and the betrayal from obviously his partners and things like that. I just think he's a really good Bond, and I've started reading the novels recently, and I think his portrayal of Bond is, you know, it's better than the sort of Sean Connery's and things like that, in my opinion, because it's truer to the character as someone who on the face has to appear like quite strong and stuff, but there is that vulnerability about him, and I think Daniel Craig does portray that quite well.
I think that could be down to a timing thing, like the modern the films of James Bond back in the day would be down to sort of the storyline and the action and this kind of the trope of the drunken sort of womanizer, whereas modern storytelling has to add some elements, and they were really looking at the character arcs, and I think that's just down to developed writing.
I think he's closer to what Fleming was aiming for as well. Like Pierce Brosnan, for example, in the GoldenEye films, he's almost like taking that womanizer element to a new level, whereas I don't think Daniel Craig is doing that.
No.
In the Bond films, I think he's hurt in the first one. You know, he very much does just want to fall in love and give the sort of lifestyle up, but you know, life keeps biting him, and he keeps on going. And I think that's I like what they did with the 5th one as well, where he was no longer 007. They brought in a new 007, and he was, you know, Colonel Bond, and he was still sort of on the periphery of what was going on, but he was still very much involved. I think it was just really good, and the ending was brilliant. Made me cry.
We recently had Vaseem Khan on, who was the CWA Dagger Award winner. Brilliant crime writer. We've met him before. He's now writing the new Q series. Is that something, as a Bond fan, you'd be looking to read?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of characters in the Bond series that are sort of untapped. You know, I like M's character. I like what they did with M's character in the films, because in the novels it's a man, but obviously bringing Judi Dench into it, I think, added in a new layer. What's the guy called that works alongside M?
Oh my God, brain's just gone blank there. Yeah, it's Q. It is Q, isn't it?
No, Q's the sort of techie one, but there's another one that works alongside M. And Ian Fleming talks about their relationship, and like they never go for dinner, they never know about each other's families, but they're constantly like working closely together. And I can't remember who that. character is called, but I think he would be another untapped one in terms of, working deep in the system, and not knowing so much about his home life. I mean, I'm only a couple of books into the Ian Fleming book, so I don't know if that's elaborated on, but what's his name? That's going to really irritate me.
Interestingly, Halo said she accidentally wandered on where they filmed at Skyfall in Scotland, which was a beautiful setting. But we pointed this out on the show the other week that, talking about the legacy of James Bond and changing the character, and where is it spoiler to talk about the end of it now or not, Chris?
No, I don't think so. It's been out a while.
Right, so he was killed off basically. But we thought, maybe the Bond name is just like a John Doe sort of character name. It's like a fictional name there for any person taking up that role. But then the gravestones at that site reflected the family members of Bond. So it kind of threw it out of whack for me in that sense. Apart from that, like you said, I really enjoyed the Daniel Craig series. But yeah, Skyfall, that setting, stunning.
Yes, yeah. I don't think James Bond can be changed. I think he needs to remain true to the character. But I think 007, that's the bit that you can tweak, and I think that's what they did really well in the final movie, in terms of there was a 007 and it was a new one, and it was the same sort of role that he had to sort of undertake, and obviously it was a woman, and I think they can change that, and I'd be quite happy as a Bond fan for them to go in that direction. But I think if you're going to call the character James Bond, I think you have to stay true to the sort of original material.
Yeah, it's just a weird time that we're in for writers in that sense, because you look at the British military, or the same with Americans, I'm sure, like the Marines, for example, in the past sort of 5, it might be 10, I'm not sure on the timeline, but like in that time, women are now allowed in those roles, a lot more forward-facing roles than they used to be. So it is evolving. So reflecting that in the work makes sense. But
he's saying that though. But even in the earlier Fleming novels, like, women have prominent roles. Like, there's I can't remember the name of the character, but oh God, I'm looking really like I'm talking about this as if I know about it, but I'm not remembering names. But yeah, she was basically a spy. And she was selling information, and she was working privately and things like that. So I think he has had those characters that would be classed as more sort of modern narratives. He's still got them in there from the very off. So again, maybe an expansion of the sort of Ian Fleming world might not be a bad thing. But I think with Bond, if you're going to name the character James Bond, then stay true.
Yeah, definitely. So this is potentially one we're going to talk about a bit later as well, is the Bible has come up. I skipped to the end. I skipped to the end. Lucifer did it. Lots of laughing reactions and thumbs up.
Yeah, I mean, again, you've got to admire any sort of religious text that's taken years and years and different contributions from people to sort of put that together. Obviously, there's not one writer of the Bible. There's lots of people that have contributed to it, and it's kind of presented as. Is it presented as this is one sort of truth? I don't know. Would it be different if it had this section written by, I don't know, Stephen King, this section written by like Michael Connolly or whatever? Would that put a different spin on it?
The reason that I mentioned that is because I wanted to see your reaction. We don't talk about politics generally on the show. We don't talk about religion for good reasons, but that's on there. So I wanted to put that out there, that is definitely one that comes up. So let's move on. But I like the fact they put, I skipped to the end, Lucifer did it. So they didn't even read it. They just skipped through. So,
and again, talk about character arcs. Jesus's character arc is great. If we're looking at, relatability and all that type of stuff, like I think there's a lot of misconceptions with the Bible, but when you actually read it, because I have multiple times, and I don't know, you can't read it going away, even if you believe in Christianity or whatever. I think reading different religious texts is a good thing, because they always have the same sort of core values. And it's like, if you took just some of those values and put them in your own life, would it be better? Yeah. So regardless of where you are religion wise, like some of the teachings in it, are good for your sort of mental health, I suppose.
The next comment from Tom Lewis says, everything book talk. And now, initially, I thought, oh, that's a bit harsh. But then we've seen the likes of, remind me her name, you know exactly what I'm talking about, blew up on TikTok, Colleen Hoover, who sold loads of books.
Yeah, Colleen Hoover, yeah.
Yet there was talk about the books not being as good as they were kind of being praised as. So is TikTok giving a false impression of fame in that sense when the book isn't really as worthy as it should be?
Yeah. But again, I mean, I sound really positive tonight, but you got to respect Colleen Hoover because she had that back catalogue for people to go to and for it to blow up. Like, before it blew up on TikTok and her career like took a new level, like she was still putting in the effort and putting in the work and writing those books. And, her readership may have been quite small in comparison to what it is now, but she was still going, still putting out the work. So again, I think you've just got to respect that. And, anyone who gets a massive takeoff as a result of TikTok, great. That's what we all want. And I'd love that to happen for everyone.
But this is what we've heard from some of the authors on the show many times. It's about building that brand, building the back catalogue so people can go back and buy older book, like previous books, when they find your work. So in theory, she's done exactly what someone should do when they're taking their writing seriously. So the fact that TikTok has helped to do that is a positive. But everything TikTok, the book talk is pretty harsh, I think.
Yeah, what I really like about TikTok with books is the organic ones, in terms of someone reads it, they're really shocked about what they've read, they've loved the experience of reading that book, and then they've shared it with the world. I love that side of things, and I think that's great. What I don't like is the sort of ones that are pushed to sort of sell books and promotions, and they'll hold a book up and go, oh, this is brilliant, and they've never read it, they've just been paid to sort of hype it up. That I don't like. But authentic sort of feelings and experiences of having read a book, I'm all for that. Yeah.
Interestingly, book influencers are getting a lot of criticism for promotion of poorly edited books. It can be a legitimate downside. So my question is, if you're looking at an audience that just really enjoys the book and the story, being poorly edited for a professional level is bad. But if someone just loves that story and the book and the creativity, is that really a bad thing?
No, I don't think it is. I mean, we've all seen those quizzes where it's like, can you read this if you are I don't know, dyslexic or whatever, but the words at the end of the sentences are the same. And not the same, but they're right and correct. And you can still read it, even though the words just make no sense whatsoever. On face value, you can still read it. So I think it says a lot about editing and like what people will be sort of willing to put up with a really good story. I think if you're engrossed in a story and the characters, you kind of don't, unless you're a real stickler. I think you kind of know it. Like Sally Rooney is a really good example, with the fact that like she doesn't put the traditional speech marks of her characters. I don't think she does punctuation. I mean, I may be wrong saying that, but
at any level, in general.
No, I don't. I actually don't know, because I haven't got one of her books, but I'm pretty sure it might even just be standard. She might have full stops, but I don't even know if that's the case. I mean, if people have read a Sally Rooney book,
sure.
But again, I remember reading it. Yeah, and it not being like it didn't factor in. Like normal people was obviously really successful. There's definitely something in there where, it's going to annoy me. Does it have punctuation, Sally Rooney, people? Do people know that? But yeah, she's made a comment of it in terms of like, it might just be commas and speech marks that she leaves out, or even just speech marks. But she says people know they should be there. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a waste of time putting them in. Like, they know it's speech.
That's not the case, though. You can't just assume people know they should be. should be grammar and punctuation in those certain places of the text. You can't just assume reader would
Yeah,
know
Halo
it.
said there are no quotes. Yeah, so there's no speech marks.
That I can
Which
possibly see
sounds
happening.
strange.
If you write it well enough, you know that they're talking. I get that, but the rest of it, like you say, no commas and things, that's too bad.
Yeah, that might be. And they know she leaves something out, and I think it might be the speech marks.
Yeah. Ross said about, it's not just a medium for getting books in the public sphere, as in book talk, but it's like saying I don't like any book that appeared in the Guardian book reviews. So I kind of get that.
See, again, I think I would be more inclined to pick up a book that has been promoted on TikTok than one that's been promoted in the Guardian.
I would.
Simply because, again, but people can buy those spaces, and we know from doing the show and speaking to people, like some authors will just have a huge budget behind them, and their book will be in Waterstones, and it'll be at the front, and it'll be there for 10 weeks, and obviously that is going to impact the charts. And then they don't necessarily buy the reviews, but I've heard that they do, and they buy spaces and pages as well. So
didn't E.E. Cummings use no capital letters? Is that
quite possibly? But
yeah,
I'm not sure, so I've never read any of their books. But again, people going on with their own rules in terms of, do you know what? I'm not going to put capital letters in. I'm not going to put quotes in or speech marks because, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, Ross said that's the point, though. It's a medium to promote books, but it has little to do with the quality of the books, which I do agree with. But then a review is a review, whether it's in the Guardian or on Book Talk, right? So in theory, your sales on Amazon, you're buying the book generally off the 5-star ratings, the 4-star ratings, maybe. So reviews are important to people.
Yeah, I do. But Stephen Aitchison, he's come on the show a few times, and he shared his sort of advertisement budget with us. And the amount of money he spends on, the amount of money he spends on advertising, but he recoups it in book sales. So I think there's a lot to be said there for, if you've got a decent budget for advertising. Like, I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but I remember one that was over 10 grand a month he was spending on advertising, but he was bringing in like 24,000. So it's like, you might have to spend 10,000, but then you're going to make 24,000's worth of book sales. Like,
so I found
a lot of money.
Very interesting. He shared videos on this on TikTok about his sales, about his costs and his income based on his book advertisings and his book sales. So I reached out to him and said, look, this is fascinating to see. Can we have information from you to create a Substack article, which we're going to do very soon? So if you want to read about what he's doing and the response that's happening because of it, then sign up to our Substack. You can put that on a free post. You won't have to pay for that in a member style or member way. But I also did mention to him what Chris is saying. I understand that you need money to make money. Not everyone's in that position. So what we're trying to figure out for a lot of people is that those who are not in that position, how do you then promote things and get your book to a higher level of marketing without a budget?
I do remember though him talking about like the first month he did it, he put like 200 quid behind it. And again, not everyone's got £200, but he did start off. It was in like increments of, I've actually made a bit more money there, I'll invest some more. And he's you got to give him credit because he invested in himself and obviously does it every single month as well. And I remember him saying on the show the first time he sort of made over £1,000, and it was like, wow. But yeah, maybe the key is start small. Like, I've never done it. Like, I've had a couple of ads run for like, I spent like £10, but I suppose that's probably me not backing myself. But people like Stephen, if they do that and they're very successful, and fair play.
He is the most successful author in that way that I've seen by far. He's smashed. smashing it would be the right word. He's dominating it in that sense as an indie author. He's like a flagship person at the moment. So definitely follow him on TikTok because he does a lot of writing advice and writing tips and shares all of that information and stats on there. So it's very helpful if you're into that sort of thing. So a couple more books in here. So we'll do that. We'll get some questions from you guys and we'll do the query clinic thing in a bit. But Ken says, anything by King, not titled The Shining, the drawing of the three, The Stand, or Misery. Do you agree with that, Chris?
No. There's multiple books by King that he's not mentioned that I absolutely love. So I can't agree with that. I can't put King in that category. Obviously, he could be a bit of a Marmite person, and even his stories could be a bit Marmite sometimes. But yeah, I can't hate on King.
One that I don't agree with is the next comment, which is Green Eggs and Ham. I think that's a great book.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not my favorite Dr. Seuss.
No. But yeah, Harry Potter appears again. Outlander series. What else we got? Lord of the Flies. That's quite interesting to be in there. 50 Shades of Grey has come up a lot as well. Where the crawdads sing. I can't put my mind on who that is, and I'm sure we've had them on the show, have we? Who wrote that book?
No, we haven't had her on the show. Yeah, Where the Crawdads Sing again. Really good book. Great twist. If you're looking for somebody who can do a twist, that was a really good one.
Oh, Delia. Not.
Yeah, we've definitely had her on. Again, made into a film.
Yeah. The Great Gatsby.
I don't know if Great Gatsby's one of those that is gets better with age.
Another one, anything by Stephen King.
Yeah. No, I'm not agreeing with these people.
Ross says Catcher in the Rye, absolute shit. Or shite.
So yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that from Ross. Catcher in the Rye. I get it. I get why it's popular. But it's just a whiny teenager, and it really annoys me.
Yeah, when you work with them like we do, we don't really want to hear about them. The Alchemist is in there.
Again, good book.
Ulysses, the Bible again, Great Gatsby again, the Bible again, the Quran this time.
See, I've never read Ulysses. I've purchased a copy multiple times, but I've never been able to read it. It's absolutely massive.
Yeah, I've heard that. Isn't this question's quite interesting? This response is quite interesting. It says, I think the question should be rephrased missing a D, to author because Frida McFadden books are popular and highly overrated.
I agree with that.
Okay.
She's written what's that really popular series that she's done?
The
Housemaid.
Yes.
And The Housemaid's Secret or something like that.
Which is a series that people are loving at the minute as well.
Yeah.
So there must have been something in there.
She's prolific though. She writes an awful lot of books, and the thing that I think about someone who's written so many books, it's like, how do you just keep coming up with ideas? Like, you are going to have some bad books in there, but then you're going to have some that do take off.
I find myself getting a lot of ideas, but not the time to write them. So maybe.
Yeah.
But there are people that we've spoken to on the show that swear they just have a vault of ideas. So maybe some people just naturally have that ability.
Yeah. I think this is one of the things, I've been thinking about this week in terms of like having the time. Like, we've interviewed 380 people and they always say, oh, you have to make the time. And like, I'd say half the people that say that are in the 5 o'clock Writers Club, the 5 a.m. Writers Club. And I'm like, have the time. Like, I'm a full-time teacher. Like, I'm always planning and marking, and there's always something to do with that. And then obviously I've got 2 young children in my house that they are a full-time job. And then I'm like, if I can find even 20 minutes at the end of the day to read a book, like I'm just going to do that, because, writing and getting something down, and it is a marathon. Like, to write a novel, the first one that I did took me 7 years. And I wasn't even in the position that I'm in now, in terms of like full-time teaching and all this sort of stuff. I was a student and various different things. And it's like, I've got these ideas, I've got these books that I've sort of got to 20,000 words, but I haven't written anything for ages. And I'm like, I don't know how I can do it. Like, I'm thinking if the kids are older, then maybe I'll get some time, and I might be a sort of mid-40s, early 50s writer that manages to get something out. But yeah, I don't know how people do it. I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, so I can sort stuff out for the day and stuff, and give the kids breakfast, make sure their clothes are ready and that. But getting up at 5, it would kill me. So I'm like, how am I going to do it? And then people say, oh, write during your lunch break, and whenever you sat in the car and stuff. It's like, I can't do that. Like, if I tried to write in the school or even in the car park at lunch, there'd be something that would come up.
I hear you, but at the same time, I'm very busy. I do football coaching, extra job. I do the show stuff as well at times, but I still think that I could be more productive in that sense. So I don't know. Like, I could get up earlier and do it, but I don't. So is it that we're saying that we're too busy, or we're not? Those people are actually making that choice, that even though they are super busy, to get up even earlier. I don't know. So it's just trying to do what you can.
But again, from this, because I was thinking deep on it, and I was reflecting of the type of guests that we've had on the show, and like, they all have some sort of, I don't know, like, a lot of the people that we've had on the show, they've had partners that have backed them and supported them and said, oh, take the next 3 months off and I'll sort things out. We'll cut back on things or whatever. Or they've managed, like, the guests that we get on that go, oh, I just took a year out. Like, I'm like, how did you take a year out of life and just survive? Like, you must have had some money behind you. And yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just making excuses because I've not been successful or not released a book in ages or whatever. But I don't think I'm being unreasonable by saying that I literally don't have the time, like, to sit down just for me and just be like, I'm just going to bash this book out.
What I'd like to do, you guys in the chat, can you flood the comments with questions, because I really need to go for a week. So please do that.
Well, whilst you do that, I can. So, same, Daisy's meant to be hated. That was about the Gatsby. Halo saying she hated Gatsby, or hated Daisy and Gatsby. Yeah, I think Daisy is meant to be hated. So again, sign of good writing if you did. Ross says, whoop. Doesn't say whoop. He says, if it was just volume ideas, we'd all be prolific. That is true. Creative diarrhea, says Halo. Yeah, Ross says, I'm with you, Hooli. It's a nightmare and my brain is drained by the time I get a second. Yeah, I mean, it is like, a lot of people say, oh, are you doing these things then? Are you scrolling on social media? Are you, I don't know what else you could do. There's lots of other things, but I'm not doing those things. I'm not sat there scrolling on social media for hours. Like, my evening most days is I put my headphones in, tidy my house, make some lessons at the end of the day, and then go to bed because I'm knackered. And as long as I've got my next day sorted, like, that's me done. And, getting up at 6, probably go to sleep anywhere between sort of 10 and 12 every night. And it's like, but my actual job and kids doesn't stop till they go to bed, and that's like 8 o'clock. And then by the time you've washed the pots from making tea and you've made sure the clothes are ready for the morning, and you've done a bit of housework, like, then it's like, oh, it's 9:30 now, and it's like, right, well, what am I going to do with this little tiny bit of time that I've got? I'm just going to sit and read. Like I've been reading recently quite a bit. That seems to be my thing. And I'm thinking, well, if I'm not writing, then I'm reading, then at least that's a good thing. But yeah, it takes it out of you. And some people need the morning to write. Some people need the evening to write. Like you know, a lot of people talk about it on this show, like, oh, my brain works best here. And it's like, well, my brain could work best in the morning, but I wouldn't know because I'm getting kids ready for school and putting shoes on and making packed lunches and all that jazz.
Hello, I'm back. Thank you for that.
Halo says we all need to become vampires. That's the only way we can make it work. Yes, or if you watched a TV show in the 90s called Bernard's Watch, where he literally clicks and stops time, that would be great. If anyone's got one of those watches that they're willing to pass over, I'll have one of them, please.
Do you mean he stops time and he's still active?
Yeah, that was the whole premise of the show, that he could press the watch, everyone else would just stay where they were, frozen in time, but he could move about.
So what would you do if you were able to do that?
I think, do you know what, this sounds like really adult and boring thing, but the first thing I'd do is catch up on sleep. I'd be like, right, everyone stop. I'm just going to get like another 3 hours in and wake up naturally. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that kills me, especially in this time, like from November onwards. Like you wake up, it's dark. You go to sleep, it's dark. And it's like, I just want to wake up naturally without the annoying iPhone alarm going off, you know, and going, oh, that's me again. Off I go, Groundhog Day type thing. So I think the first thing I would do is just catch up on some sleep.
I think I'd spend way too much time moving stuff around and placing it in weird places. So when you start time again, people freak out and think something weird's happened.
Yeah,
like a ghost.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Good point. Okay, what we're going to do, 45 minutes gone, we're going to talk about the Query Clinic. This is something we're very excited about. It's a new thing that can help us as a show. It can help you guys massively. So here's the Substack post about it. It's a little thing there, the Query Clinic. Get your first 10 pages read by Chris and Chris, and double vision edits. So what we're looking at is people are submitting their work and they're getting rejections quite a lot, and that is natural. That's going to happen to you whether you're, you know, Stephen King. Had that multiple times. But also what we're going to do is we're going to start a thread on Substack every month where if you're a paid member, you can submit your 10 pages, or you can submit your query letter or anything like that, and we can review it. What we'll do is we'll pick out one of them, and each month we'll preview a video with the most helpful kind of edit we can do to showcase, you know, what that looks like. But what happens as well is that we learn from that, we talk about it, and someone gets that picked out. If you're a founding member, which is like an extra kind of element on Substack paid, it's kind of the fullest thing you can do, which we've reduced the prices of everything. You will have a guaranteed edit. You'll also have a 20-minute consultation call with us, and we'll answer your questions, and we'll go through everything from your synopsis, your first draft, 10 pages, and your query. So that is something that we've put together, and we're working on. Anya in the chat has trusted me with her editing recently on the latest manuscript, which is fantastic so far. Really enjoying that. And she was kind enough to leave a bit of a review for that for me. Wish I can find it. She said, I recently had Chris Agate help me edit my work in progress, and his feedback has been invaluable. More specifically, as I have a male point of view character and wanted to ensure that he is believable. Mr. Agate's comments helped me flesh out his persona. In addition, his general editorial suggestions have made my work stronger. Sorry, Chris, 1 second. I'm just going to mute you for a second because that feedback is blowing my mind. Okay, wait, where are we? Flesh up. His general editorial suggestions have made my work stronger. If you need a professional set of eyes on your piece, which I love that, thank you, you've come to the right place. So Annie's written many books, and you know, I really feel with the work she's provided, I've enjoyed. It's great, and I'm just helping her tweak things up and offer suggestions. So there's a testimony for you there. So what the Query Clinic can do, if you're unsure about things, if you just want to check before you get in, our basic Substack costs are very small. We get extra articles and bonus content in there, and you get to have that kind of random one selection we do each month from those people who submit to the thread. And you get to learn from looking at those and studying them and seeing the comments that we suggested. But also, that testimony was for just me. I know Chris is very talented in that area as well. That would be both of us doing that together collaboratively. But if you are a founding member, we will definitely work on yours. You could submit once a year, maybe. We'll look at it maybe every 6 months. And we will guarantee that work with you. And we will do a consultation call, a Zoom call, and talk you through it and everything about your author brand and all that good stuff. You know what? One of the posts that we did that had a good reaction on all social media was talking about someone emailed asking about joining the show as an author for an interview, and talked about how much it costs to come on the show. I was amazed by this, and we posted out that, you know, we don't charge for any interviews. We haven't done ever, and we never would. We've done over 380 interviews, 6 years of our Friday nights we've given to this show, and it's all been through love of the community and helping authors develop and grow and supporting them. So the responses from that were quite overwhelming, which says to me there's so many shows out there that are charging people and authors to come on their shows. I find that mind-blowing. So although this does cost to be a little bit of a member of the Substack community, you get bonus content that helps your writing, and you get this sort of, you know, new thing that we're throwing at you, which is a collaborative way to improve your writing and your chances of being submitted and successful. So that's what it's there for. It's there for you massively. It's there for us. That helps us as well. So if that is something that you're interested in, you can find that on our Substack. So please do go and have a look at it. It will help us. It will help you. And that's what we're trying to do. And every time we're trying to grow it bigger and bigger. We've got some brilliant business plans that if we can make them, you know, into reality, then in the real world, we can do much more things like workshops that people can actually attend in real life as well. There's a lot of things on the back burner that me and Chris are working our minds over and over with, looking at ways to try and develop this into something bigger. So hopefully that's of interest to you. And hopefully it is. And yeah, hopefully we get to work with you a bit more like we have with Anya as well.
Yeah, I like the fact that on the banner for that, there was one that was a skeleton reading a book, and one that looked perfectly healthy. So yeah. I'll leave it to people's minds who they think is who, based on my little rant before.
Oh, did I miss that?
Yeah, you missed the rant whilst I was going to the toilet, just about how much time I don't have.
I missed this comment, and I'm now, my mind is twirling about it. Doing the thing in the twits where you add a tiny coin-sided piece of wood to each chair leg, so it slowly rises over weeks, and people think we're drinking.
That's what Ross would do if he had access to Bernard's watch.
Okay,
just mess with people by making them think they were shrinking.
In response to the editing, Anya says the feedback's been very helpful, so thank you so much. Anya's brain is delicious. I agree. After reading what I've read so far, it's absolutely fantastic. Ross says that's awesome. Three Dragons Press says, so why do books get rejections left and right, Chris? Share the tea.
I think one of the biggest reasons why people get rejections is the lack of preparation in the query letter, in terms of, you know, saying your book is the next best thing is not what people want to hear. It's from our sort of knowledge that we've been given on the show from various people. And we sat with Miranda Dewis at Harrogate Crime Writers Festival, and we asked her pretty much this exact question, and she said that you know, if they can present in a query letter that they've been serious about their approach in terms of, you know, offering comps, in terms of it's a bit like this, it's a bit like that, like where they could place it into the market, why they've approached that particular person, you know, making the query letter personal. You know, I've picked you out because you did this book, and I think, you know, there's some similar themes and things like that. That catches their attention before they even get to the first page. So I think there's some brilliant authors as well who've done really good videos on query letters. Will Dean, who's been on the show multiple times, he's got a great YouTube video about query letters, and he shares his query letter that got him an agent. And again, I think he does talk about a lot of the things that I've just mentioned. But the second point is those first 10 sort of pages. It's like a lot of authors that we've had on the show have said, however you start your book, when you first start writing it, should not be the first 10 pages when you finished writing it, because it's normally the third chapter in or something like that, because it's not actually the most exciting bit. You don't get going for a few pages. So maybe have a little look at that. And I also think, a lot of people have mentioned the world building and the characters. Like if you can have a history and suggest something has happened before we get to the very first page, and you load it with all that sort of, there's loads of things here that have potentially happened. I think that could be another tip. And I know a lot of people have been bashing Stephen King, but using that
lucky guy,
really good opening of asking the question, that why question. We've had so many people talk about that. If you can create that at the beginning of your first 10 pages, something that the reader needs to know the answer to, why has this sort of happened, I need to know, then you're going to be successful, I think.
It's that intrigue factor that you just mentioned, I think, is a big thing. And that intrigue factor and the hook and everything that Chris is talking about, and, the questioning that you put out there. For example, one of the books that was mentioned earlier, we skimmed past, was 50 Shades of Grey. Now, a lot of people have read that or seen it as well and said it's trash, but it's sold over like 150 million copies, right? So the what factor or the question or the intrigue was there, and that got signed up. They sold so many books, so the hook was strong.
Do you know with these books though,
like
50 Shades of Grey, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's self-published first.
Yeah, it was.
And then it was taken. And even with like J.K. Rowling before, like agents and adults were rejecting it until a child of a publishing house read it and said that they loved it. Like, so again, there's got to be a certain element of luck in it. Like, I think based on what she said in terms of how many rejections that she had, if that child hadn't have read it, no adult would have picked it up because they wouldn't have seen the magic in the pages.
And going back earlier, when we talked about the quality of the writing in terms of grammatical errors in the work, there was those programs where someone sells an original copy of something on like an auction, or they take it to someone to value it. There was an original copy of Harry Potter, and they said one of the things that makes this more valuable is if the typos are there on the back of the book and in the first few pages. So those sometimes those typos are worth a lot of money. Interesting. Yeah. But
I think just going in it with a professional head, going into knowing that you are stepping into a business, and it's not just the love of writing that, it might be why you've created the book, but then a business head needs to take over in terms of, all these agents and companies talk to each other as well. So, be personal in your query letter. Don't scatterbomb everyone at once and be like, you. A lot of people pick up the Writers Guild and they'll just spam everyone who's willing to accept like fantasy or crime or anything like that. I think the closer to the sort of human connection that you can make, and it, advice as well, go to events, go to the places where these people are going to be. Because if you're chatting and having a beer with somebody, and then it just so happens that, like, they always ask, "What do you do?" At Harrogate, like, I was a bit embarrassed by it, to be honest. They were like, "Oh, what do you write?" Like, they're naturally inquisitive people, and I think the conversation of your book and what you are doing will come up naturally anyway. Like, you don't have to force it down somebody's throat and go, "Oh, you're that agent I really like. I've got a book for you." They would hate that, but I think if you were just, chatting and it was casual, it will get brought up. And then, we had it ourselves. Multiple publishers were like, "Oh, you're writing anything at the minute? Like, if you send it over." And I was like, "I wish I had something right now," because I don't.
Here's some news.
But, yeah.
We have had an official invite back to this year to Harrogate from Pat McMillan, so we're very excited about that. But also, like Chris mentioned, the connections that we've built. He's talking about you doing that. We've already done that, and what we're looking at doing is building what we're trying to offer up and up and up and up to some stage where potentially we could have those connections and champion authors in that direction for them as well. So, you know, we're still working on those things behind the scenes. We're in contact with stuff and with people and publishers. And, you know, there's no question that one of our shows, any one of our shows, 380 shows, gives you writing advice and tips. That happens in every natural conversation we have. We've had over 380. So this is why we're now putting ourselves out there as people who can help you, because we've absorbed so much of that through having fun that, you know, we're there offering that now as well. So we can do some work for you, but we're also trying to help you get there.
I'll say another one about the rejections as well whilst I'm there. If it takes you a year to write a book, why do you think it would take a week for it to be accepted? Like, put the time and effort that you've put into writing the book into getting it in the right hands. So if that is spending a month researching the best sort of publishing houses to approach for your book, then do that. Like, if it takes you a month to draft the letter and it's personal and it's, you know, you've watched the YouTube videos, you've got advice from loads of places about it, and you've tweaked it and redrafted it before you send it out, do it. Like, I think the thing with writing a novel, once you hit that at the end, you're like, oh, I'm going to get this on the shelf. But like, in reality, it takes a year anyway, at least. If you're going to sign that publishing deal, even if you sign it a week later, you've got to wait for a year for the book to come out. But I think take the time once you've done one to get it into the right hands and the right people to see it, but also keep writing during that, because a lot of these places will say, is it a series? Can I have 3 books? Have you got anything else? Or they might even say, we had a guest say this the other day, that is not quite right for us, but have you got something else?
Well, this is what part of the Query Clinic is all about, right? So you could present us your current manuscript, your pitch, your synopsis, all of that good stuff. We can already have a list of potential agents that you could offer that to. And we've had conversations on the show where people are really skeptical about working with the wrong agents. There's no guarantee of that. You get the best one. You might get one that looks great, is not. You might get one you think is maybe okay and is amazing. But we can offer you in your genre what agents you could be looking at, as well as that advice. So what we're trying to do is bridge that gap between you thinking, how do I do this? How do I do that? We're trying to give you the answers that you could use and take forward. So that's what the Query Clinic is all about. So if you are on that
another tip,
get involved.
Another tip that's just come in my head. If you know that an agent is your dream agent, before you even start writing, just say, maybe even send an email in terms of just saying like what you're currently looking for. You know what I mean? I really like your work. I really like the people that you work with. What are you in the market for at this moment in time? Or what would I asked this to Miranda Jewis. I said, what would your dream novel be that came across your table, like your desk? And she told me, and I can't remember what it was for the life of me. But she did say, oh, I'd love something like this. So again, all agents, they have dreams as well, and sort of they want their writers to take off and things like that. So even just, and again, there might be articles where they've already said this, my dream book would be this, or I really like this. And again, I suppose that's in the research element, so you know you're pitching your book to the right person.
Now, 3 Dragon Press has just said we only take 0+ submissions, joking, and Halo says 0+, laugh, laugh, laugh. But if you are following them on X, hate saying X, Twitter, then you'll see they were doing a submission thing recently. So I know you guys are in the chat right now, or on X as well. Maybe not so active these days compared to what it used to be, but go and find them on there and you will see what that is all about. If I'm wrong, 3 Dragon Press, it might have closed by now, but let them know if you can, please.
But again, with that, do your research. Like, if 3 Dragon Press and the books that they produce are in your sort of field and you think, yeah, that's a great fit for me, then yeah, send it to them. However, if you don't do the research and you just think, oh, somebody's accepted submissions, I'll send this over. It's like, don't do that. It's not going to work. Like, do your research and homework first. Like, if you spent a year writing it, spend some time knowing who you're sending it to.
There is no doubt that the people in the indie world that have made very successful sales and developed their career as an indie, or who've been on this show, the one thing they have in common, there's no doubt about it, they have treated it like a business. They've approached it like they're in work. And that means when you're in work, you have to be there all day. You have to work. You have to do this. You have to do that. Sounds bad, but that's the way it is. But when you're writing, you think, oh, I might just send this email. I'm done. No, set yourself a time, an hour, 2 hours. I'm going to spend those 2 hours researching this for an hour, sending my emails for this hour. Like, you have to approach it like a business if you want it to be successful. We'd love to see memoir and queer fiction this year. Interesting. Halo, as you mentioned, Halo, you must know it from earlier. Yeah, queer indie. You two need to connect on that, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Cool.
but that, again, part and parcel of it. People making connections, chatting to each other, finding out, like, knowing that Three Dragon Press, that's what they're looking for this year. If you've written a crime thriller, like, that's, you know, a stereotypical crime thriller with the sort of James Bond-esque male character, then yeah, don't send them that because they're not looking for it.
No.
But there might be somebody who will, but you have to do the research and they put the effort in to find out who's looking for that.
Well, for an actual example of writing for the people we connected with and for books you think might get connected and sell, rather than your passion writing, is what I'm doing right now. I'm writing my first crime fiction novel because of our connections at Harrogate, because of the agents we know and the publishers we know. That's why I'm writing that book. It's not my natural writing. I'm doing, I think, a good job at it. So, you know, there's reasons why that's happening. But what I want to say is it's 5 past the hour. We're happy to carry on with the show for a minute. We want your questions now. So we've rambled on. We've talked about the random books. Oh, by the way, going back to the most commented book in that list, Chris, do you want to guess what the most commented book in that list was?
Oh God, I have no idea. We've already had Twilight. We've had 50 Shades of Grey.
In the chat as well, what do you think the most popular book is, please?
Most popular, unpopular book?
Yes, correct. It might surprise you. It might not. It was mentioned earlier.
No, it's gone. Okay.
So the most popular book on that list, it appeared many times, it had the most reactions, was in fact the Bible.
Mm. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't necessarily think people are talking about the quality of the Bible. I think they they have other attachments as to reasons why they hate it. But yeah, fair enough.
But yes, it's.
I love Ross's comment. Shopping my novel about the sentient brie that falls in love with lactose intolerant goose whilst working for Fowl Protective Services to find out who left a swan chick with an alcoholic milliard. See, that is the type of book that I would read, though.
Ross should
maybe
in a writer's room writing funny things for things like The Mighty Boosh, because he would fit in so well with it.
Oh yeah, I had a really good conversation with somebody about The Mighty Boosh like last week. Normally when I mention The Mighty Boosh, people are like, what? But yeah, this person knew very well and could quote stuff at me as well, and I very much enjoyed that. Yeah.
Bouncy, shoes all in a line. If you don't know what it is, check it out. It's random.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Yes, you do win, Halo. The Bible wasn't correct. Was it correct? The Mighty Boosh, I am the moon. Yes, we have fans. See what I'm talking about. Yeah, so again, questions. Random, writing related, Chris and Chris related. Please put them in the chat right now. And we'll before we wrap the show up, we'll answer some of your random questions, please.
What would your most hated popular book be? Like one that you've
I haven't hated. In fact, I have, because I haven't finished a few books. I DNF'd a few books.
Mm.
Give
I've
me a
got
second.
one.
Give me a second. Yeah, go on.
So mine is The Book Thief, because I've tried to read it four times. I've bought a physical copy, I've bought a Kindle copy. Loads of people say, you've got to read The Book Thief. My friends, people like that have said, oh, it's brilliant. Like, I just cannot get into it. So for me, it's The Book Thief.
I'm trying to think. There was a question I was reading. Reading a question, thinking about a book. It was the book I was reading a while back. I remember trying to get into it, and I just couldn't. I can't remember what it was.
Ross has said, I had that on my bedside table for 3 years before I gave up. The Book Thief. Yeah, I mean, some people love it, but I just can't. I can't get into it. I think it's boring, and it might get better, but I'm never going to get that far.
Oh, it'll come to me in a minute. Got a question. If you had to host a parasite in an organ for a year, what organ would you choose and why?
Oh God, I think a parasite is stomach. Hopefully, I'd lose a lot of weight.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a benefit.
Mm.
That's a random question, Halo. I know you're random, but that's very random. Well,
I mean, can the parasite talk to you? Has it got advantages of having it? Like, if you had it in your brain, is it going to make you smarter? Is it going to make you a vegetable?
The biggest organ in the body is the skin. So I'm going to say the skin, and it'd be a parasite that, like you said, would sit on my shoulder and chat to me.
Fair enough.
Yes. Liver, it can take a parasite and keep on trucking. We tried to read Wicked and couldn't get into it. I watched the movie the other day for the first time.
Don't lie, you had that on repeat.
No, first time I've seen it. But what I thought was, Ariana Grande was very annoying in it. High-pitched voice. Yeah, I don't know. Something grated on me there.
Have you seen the South Park episode where he takes his wife to go and watch Wicked?
No.
Oh, it's brilliant. All the guys in their offices are talking about why you should go and see musicals. I'm not going to spoil it for people. Go and watch it because it is brilliant. But they all go and watch Wicked, and yeah, it's a good show. Good episode anyway.
Nice. If you're into horror, and my book's up here for once because it's normally a show guest book. I released this after Halloween last year. What a stupid time to release a horror. There's one tip for you right there. I feel like this is better written than my first two books that have great reviews, and even though they have grammatical errors in the first two, they did well. This story I like. It's horror about a 16th century castle where authors go on a writing retreat, and they write their stories to come to life, and they all get murdered by their creations, basically. If you're into that, it's called The Words of 11. It's on Amazon. Go and pick it up for me. I would enjoy that. Chris, have you got a book there you can show off?
No, I'm not doing that. I wrote a book with Halo and Ross that I quite like.
It's got a big name. I can't pronounce it.
Yeah.
It's got the and M in it. I know that much.
It hasn't got an M.
Is it? Yeah, it has. The Mer.
No, it hasn't.
Oh, I'm thinking
There's no murder.
Not murder. It's got like a funny name in it. Oh, The Inevitability of Evil.
Yeah.
What? There's one Ross has written, then it's the murky something.
Murky.
Yeah, it's got like a green cover with.
Malarkey. You mean the Malarkey's Imaginarium?
That's what I'm talking about.
Short stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
love those short stories.
assumed that some of you had collaborated on that or not.
It wasn't a collaboration. Ross, basically, he was the editor for the series, and he invited people to write short stories for the collection. And I wrote, I think he did 3 books, and I wrote, there we go. Yeah, and I did 2 short stories for those. Did I do
Yeah,
2?
so you
Was there
collaborated on
4
that
books
book.
and I did 3? I
Yeah,
can't remember.
so you worked on that with
Uh,
him.
no, I didn't work on it with him. He edited the stories with his editor, and he put them into a collection.
I'm sorry if
But it
you
wasn't
added
a collaboration.
to his.
But The Inevitability of Evil, that was a collaboration between me, Ross, and Halo. We all wrote different parts.
Ross was a pimp and said, "Show me your frontal lobes."
Yeah, he pretty much did. But yeah, I liked Halo's question before about the congrats. I've got a copy of your book somewhere. I was looking for it and I can't see it.
Ross says, "I loved Hooley's first book. It was one of the most horrific scenes I've ever read, and yet it's so poignant and funny."
Yeah. There is a book 2 coming. What annoys me about it is I've written on the side, so I had various different covers, but I've written the Three Doors series as if there's going to be more, and it says book 1, and there needs to be at least a book 2.
If anyone there is Deep fans, is in the first 2 novels I wrote,
Yeah,
Deep the Climb of Truth. Lovely. That's the covers I was on about. Deep the Climb of Truth and The Embers of Life. And after my crime fiction novel, I'm going back and rewriting book 1 and 2 and adding a 3rd in because people have actually requested it. And I didn't think they would, but it's happened. So I'm going to rewrite them all with my now more modern style of writing and more let's face it, better writing. So that's going to happen.
I'm sure I said to you that a prequel would be great for your series.
I planned a prequel, but people want a follow-on, so it might end up with 4 books on this. But in reality, they were novellas, so then what I release might be just a good sized book worth maybe 60,000-70,000 words, and then a prequel after. So the request has been there. So if I rewrite it the way I want to, because I know it would be so much better and I can add so much more to it now, then the sequel and the prequel can be added to that. So Halo wants to go deep, don't we all? Yeah, so that's on the cards. So if you have to write a series, Chris, let's set ourselves to it. Halo's got a question. It says, what children's book did you read and wish was darker, more graphic, and adult?
I think Roald Dahl's books have been great, and obviously he does write for adults as well. But I think some of those books, the BFG in particular, I mean, I know it is a kid's book, but the things that happen in it are horrifying. But imagine a different perspective of the BFG in terms of somebody that knew all this thing was happening, knew these giants were taking kids, and imagine someone trying to prevent it from an adult's like book, and he had to, comfort the parents, and maybe dismembered bones of children like were on the front lawn, and they didn't know how it was done, but he did. He had, or she had, some sort of insight as to what was actually going on. I think there's so much you could potentially do with that. And then, what was the other one? The Enid Blyton one. The Wishing Chair.
Oh, I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah.
We had a guest on called Simone Cianini. Do you remember him?
No.
You don't remember? Oh, it's quite a while ago. But he wrote a book basically like this, and it was called Beasts and Beauty, which is a beautiful book that I've got, and the illustrations in it is absolutely incredible. So it's a darkened version of children's stories. So I'm going to share with you the cover right now. Oh no, I stopped that screen, not shared it. You can see it there. Beast and Beauty. So it's an adult version of children's novels. So like Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella, it's all got, honestly, the illustration inside is absolutely stunning. So if you've got like a teen child, this is absolutely fantastic. Simone Cianini. It was a really good interview. That's worth watching if you can find it back on YouTube.
Yeah, Ross says The Tiger Who Came for Tea. Love that.
Yeah, that could be quite.
Could have gone horribly wrong.
Yes.
Yeah. The Tiger Who Came to Tea and used kidneys as baseballs.
Well, what's the one? It was made into a film as well. It was basically this thing lived in like a forest, and they cut all the trees down all the time.
Oh, the Lorax.
The Lorax. I think that's quite terrifying.
Mm. Well, Three Dragons Press. My dad read Lord of the Rings to me when I was a kid, and it gave me nightmares.
Yeah, German kids' stories are to scare the kids to behave. Yeah, there's a lot of horror films based on German stories for kids. Pretty dark.
There's some great clips on TikTok about Edward Scissorhands. It's like an animated version. Kind of reminded me about what Ross did with his Beezy and Grimm animations, but they do various different things, like they do football and stuff, but they do Edward Scissorhands, and he goes to meet his brother's baby, and they give him the baby, and he brings the baby back, and it's just dead. He's like, sorry.
Well, you've got to look back to the Jungle Book, right? A kid just lost in the jungle, like looked after by fucking animals.
Yeah.
Wild, deadly animals.
Yeah.
Kidnapped by monkeys.
Yeah, I mean, there are real kids who've done that though. Like, there's a kid that was raised by wolves.
Yeah.
For like 8 years. It's crazy.
Mm.
I'd love to know what happened. They literally a choice of, do we eat this kid or do we make him one of us?
Did it really happen?
Yeah.
Like, I know there's a story, but did it really happen?
Yeah. Like, there's articles and stuff you can read.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Is it real?
Yeah, I think so.
Surely they would have just eaten the kid.
Apparently not. If you wanted a pack, you wanted a pack.
But then does this kid, now human, adult, talk?
Yeah. He does, but again, imagine living with wolves for 13 years of your life, and then trying to sort of embed yourself in society. He does talk, but not to the standard that you would expect. Or not expect in this case.
Okay. So
a wrinkle in time could easily become mortifying. Yeah, I completely agree.
I agree. Yes, that is quite. The film is mortifying, to be honest with you. It's pretty horrific. What I suggest is that if you're not on Facebook,
proof that I've never been able to read it.
If you're on Facebook and you or you're not on Facebook as an author, and you should be, then things like the Writers Forum, there's about 20 odd groups that I found that the show is part of, that you can post in with hundreds of thousands of followers. But a lot of them have rules. A lot of them you can't just put your random links and spams into. So as an author, that's a tip to do. Facebook is a must. With the groups, a lot of people have success on there. Go on, Chris, what's that?
This, I think, will join that list of books that are popular but potentially hated, because this has been recently released as a film, Hamnet, and I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest, because obviously it's a fictionalized version of Shakespeare and his experiences, and yeah, like my missus went to see the film yesterday for the second time, and she loved it. And she's really into Shakespeare as a result. And she was like, oh, it inspired him to write Hamlet and stuff like that. And then I was like, did it? So I was doing a bit of research, and it's kind of inconclusive, but he's kind of got like, apparently his wife has like some sort of witchy type power in it as well. And I don't know how I feel about that. But again, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. Have people read that book? Did you love it? Could it be on the list of love to hate?
Do you think if you wrote a book and it said about your fictional wife having witchy powers, would your partner be impressed by that?
Probably not.
Or take it personally, is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I don't think Shakespeare would be bothered at this moment in time. But yeah, I don't know. People say that, don't they? That you write what you know and twist it and all that type of stuff. But
so essentially, Shakespeare is saying my wife's a witch.
No, because Shakespeare didn't write that book.
Oh, sorry.
Maggie O'Farrell wrote it, based on his life.
Oh, I see.
But it's playing with a moment in time that we actually don't have a lot of knowledge about. So it gives the license to sort of create a fictional book within that space. And again, that's what I don't, the thing that annoys me about it is potentially changing the perception of history in terms of people going, Shakespeare was devastated about the death of his son, and therefore he wrote Hamlet. And then if that seeps into the sort of social consciousness, that becomes a given. And if it's not true, if we don't know that that's the case, then that's a bit irritating.
Three Dragon Press says, we met a Shakespeare at the Frankfurt Book Fair. We felt like we're officially at a literary event.
Mr. E.
The Shakespeare.
Yeah. Kids do that all the time.
The fruit. Yeah.
Or maybe it was a Shakespeare. Maybe they were selling pears.
Oh, brilliant. All right, guys. We're 25 minutes over the hour. Not a problem. But if you want any last questions, please do send them in. But I just want to reiterate the fact that, oh God, don't do it. But the query clinic, to be involved with that, to have access to that, please head over to Substack and sign up there. And Facebook, the Writers Forum is what we put that post on with the thread reaction was. So get involved with that as well. They don't have an E at the end. He's descendant from Shakespeare's uncle.
Oh, so you met somebody. Ah, right. Nice. Like it. That is very interesting. As if his lineage is sort of still his family. I don't know. It's something that I've never considered. That is awesome.
Well, yeah.
Yes. I don't know though, because he only had 2 kids, didn't he? Imagine that claim to royalties right now. Like I was literally talking about this the other day, that most writers would kill to write one play as good as Hamlet, or just anything as good as Hamlet. But then he also wrote multiple plays that, Romeo and Juliet, pretty much, if we're talking about La La Land, sort of defined what we associate a love story to be. And it's like, imagine having that much power in your writing, that you've shaped whole genres, it's just crazy. Yeah.
Okay, final question. Thank you, Halo. What is the most annoying trope and or theme to you personally? Do you want me to go? Have you got one?
I haven't got one ready.
I love horror. I'm a horror fan, but I'm always disappointed by a lot of horror. So am I a horror fan? I love the concept of horror. I love being intrigued by horror. I love being scared, even though I very, very, very rarely get scared. One thing I absolutely detest in any writing, whether that be novels or movies, is when a human gets possessed and suddenly they can crawl up walls or jump on the ceiling and stick with their fingers to walls like they're bloody Spider-Man. I do not get it. I don't love it. Just please stop doing it.
Don't know. What's the one trope? Again, I'm going to sound like I'm sitting on a fence, but tropes are useful, especially in storytelling.
Yeah.
Like, subverting of trope is a good way to go, I think.
Love triangles. You go back to the 90s element of romantic comedy. In every single movie had the same concept. There'd be a couple together. The woman would realize she doesn't love the man and then go and find the best friend or someone else and get with them. That was literally the concept of every storygoer.
Yeah, but isn't that like a lot of people's experiences of love anyway? There's always kind of, especially in the beginning, there's always somebody else. You know what I mean? It's never straightforward, is it? There's always a bit of a triangle going on. And I think part of the reason why you become attracted to somebody is, I think you need that triangle element in terms of, I don't know, like if it was just you and just that other person and you think, oh, I'm made here, I don't think You see it all the time, don't you? A lot of people say that when somebody falls like for them too hard, it puts them away or pushes them away, sort of thing. It puts them off. But then if somebody else finds them attractive, then they can see the qualities of it and stuff like that. Yeah. But again, is there a love triangle in La La Land? There probably is.
Yeah, The Triangle Theory by Chris Healy. Yeah,
I
no,
think there is. Like when you and your missus first got together, did you have another love interest or did she have another love
no.
interest?
I was like 18 or 17, mate. I can't remember that long ago, and I was very shy back then, so probably not. No, but like
on her part as well, did she not have somebody pursuing her?
It was a long time ago, Chris.
But I think you need that other person to sort of make you sure that you are.
When she first met me, she thought I was kind of a bit of a gimp and not very nice.
So she must have had a side. She must have had a second option.
My terrible charm.
But like, how many people get together because of bad experiences that they've had in the past, and they find what they're looking for in another partner? Like that is essentially the triangle that I'm talking about in terms of you need that other person to make you go, oh yeah, this is actually what I want in this sort of thing. Well, one of you does anyway.
Yeah, no, I get that. But sometimes you just know when you meet someone.
I still think there's going to be a triangle. Always. I mean, people in the chat, did they have triangle experiences?
Ayla says you need to use Ross's technique of having her feed some random fish.
Nice.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think if you're going to create a romantic comedy in the modern era, what would you do? What would be your kind of direction? Because I think when you've got
read this book first.
Yeah. But when you've got so many modern things compared to like the old school, would you set it in like the old days when, you know, a lot of the 90s comedies were there, or would you do it in the modern era when you've got the social media expectations and pressures and you've got the dating apps and all those things? Would you go for that, or would you leave your time zone a bit further back when things were simpler?
I think I'd be tempted to do it now, just because I think there'd be some interesting stuff that could potentially be useful to the narrative. But I think if you're telling a love story, like we've had people on the show that have written romance novels, and that falling in love with somebody else is that timeless thing that happens, and I think you can write that wherever and whenever.
I think I like the idea of putting a romance in a really bad situation, like, you know, an apocalypse or something out of the ordinary. I think that would be the way I do it. But it's
we had who is that guest that we had that was brilliant, and she's written a novel called search it up, Dating at the End of the World, I think it's called. Let me have a look.
There was that one where all the men died. Sweeney.
No, it's not that one.
Sweeney somebody.
I need to find out who it is. Yeah, Dating After the End of the World. Oh, we've not had her on. She did book to come on, but she hasn't come on. Genevieve Rose is.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it sounds like a similar idea. I'm so gutted that she didn't come on, because she's another really big popular writer that's done really well, that was booked in and then had to change.
We've had a lot of those. You know, things happen, show gets postponed, but there's a few authors that we've had booked in that were great. Bernard Cornwell being one of them, who wrote the Last Kingdom series, which I absolutely adore. And I've read the books and I've watched the series. And their agent double booked them and assumed they'd booked the show, and then messaged the day before and said, you haven't booked in, and they basically got arsey with us. So that's a real shame for me.
Yeah, Who's been your favourite guest that we've had on, like, or even top 3?
For me, Max Brooks. World War Z, or World War Z, as I used to call it, World War Z, when he was on the show, for me is an incredible book that explores so much and dips into so many different points of view, and world building is incredible. That when I had him on, learning about his mother being Anne Bancroft, who was an Oscar-winning actress back in the day. His father was Mel Brooks, who wrote Blazing Saddles. He was dyslexic as a kid. He was working for the government on defense of all these basically hypothetical expectations, and he had machete collections and stuff. It was just bonkers. So that for me has been my best interview, my favorite interview.
I think if I had to pick a favorite, like if you could take me back and I could only do one, I think it'd have to be Carolyn Kempness for me.
Yeah.
Just because I love her books. I love the U series. When she came on, obviously I did it by myself and I was really nervous, and she was just super nice and really insightful. I think I prepped more than I've ever prepped in my life for an interview. And I think it showed, because she was like, "Oh, I've never been asked that before," or "How do you know about that?" So things like that were pretty good, but that was my favorite, I think.
I think another great one that we both did and we both loved was Ian Rankin. Because it was
good
when the show first started, and it was a bit looser, and everyone was having a few more drinks, including the guest, and it just got a bit funny and crazy. Even though he was like a really huge author at the time, he was just so chilled out and was like, "Yeah, come to Scotland, I'll buy you a beer," and all this. It was basically a good laugh and a good chat.
What about the flip side then? This is dangerous to ask.
The name still sticks in my mind.
Worst interview.
I just got to say McCurvey. McCurvey. It was Andriana McCurvey, maybe. And she was the driest person we've ever spoken to, and it hasn't happened often. It was really early on as well.
Was it Laura McCurvey?
No, it was definitely an A. It's probably on our podcast somewhere. I think she was an Irish author.
And I know who you're talking about. And ironically, well, not ironically, but it's the same one for me.
Yeah. It was just blunt and
definitely
dry conversation. It was so hard to just, we can chat to anybody. We have done many times, and we get on with everybody generally. And it was like trying so hard to get answers out, but not answers. We're not like throwing hard questions at the guest. It was like trying to engage in conversation, but there was just none happening. It was so bad. And nearly Julia Donaldson, who wrote all the Gruffalo books and that stuff. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do remember. My worst interview, though, for me personally, was Dom Jolly.
Yeah.
Because that was so bad. TV. Yeah, I loved him, and I loved Trigger Happy, and I thought he was going to be hilarious. And then, oh God, it's just it makes me feel cringe and embarrassment, like just thinking about it. Like, thank God you looked into his hot air ballooning pursuits, because I was cooked. Like, if that would have been me on my own in that one, I'd have been like, "Yeah, you're going out," and you'd have been like, "Yeah."
I just don't. Okay. Because it was lockdown at the time when this show started. And by the way, that was 6 years ago, guys. It was people were giving us a chance because we just started the show. We had Noel Clarke on, who at the time was smashing it in the industry. Things have happened. Things have been not proved, whatever, not commenting on that, but things had happened after we interviewed him. At the time, he was a very big star. He just said, "Yeah, sod it. We're in lockdown. I'll join you." Dom Jolly did it as well. We were quite quick off the ground in that sense. And Dom Jolly was just like, "I'll give him a go." And the first thing Chris said was, "Can you do the big phone? Hello, I'm on the Writing Community Chat Show." And he just went, "No." He just absolutely fucking not. He's not doing it. And it was like, oh, we felt a bit.
But it was worse than that. He didn't just say no. He gave me a bit of a lecture, and he was like, "I'm sick of people asking me that. Like, if that's what you think I'm all about, then He said something along those lines, and I was like, "Whoa!" I was just completely in shock. And you were like, "No, actually, we're here to talk about your hot air ballooning adventures." And then he perked up, and I was like, "Oh my god, thank God for that!"
You know what? It was amazing.
And I just didn't say anything.
Yeah, he started talking about all these
35 minutes.
trips done around the world when he was almost like captured and killed by these local tribes and stuff, and he escaped down the river. We're like, what the? Where does this come from? But it was brilliant. Yeah,
I was like that Homer Simpson moment, when you just go back into a bush. Yeah, that was me. he pretty much did. Much did. But I was like, that's what you're known for. Like, if I'd have said to
I know.
any single person that knows Dom Jolly, it'd be Trigger Happy TV. And it's like, how can you hate the one thing that has given you a platform? And it's like, people have fond memories of that show and the things in and around it. And it's like, no one cares, with the greatest respect, about your hot air ballooning adventures. Like, I've never heard of them before. So, I don't know, but it was bad.
My favorite, we used to do getting people to do little videos before they came on the show. This was kind of a cool little thing when people could be bothered. So they do like a minute intro, and we had some really good ones saying, "Oh, this week or next week, I'm going to be on the Right Community Chat Show." Christopher Polaha, he's called him Polaha. The first interview, second interview, Polaha, I got it right. He did a great one. He called it. He was in Hawaii. He was filming it. He looked great. He's a Hollywood actor. He's what's those films he does? The romantic ones. Hallmark actor, very famous one.
Yeah.
In Jurassic Park.
In Jurassic Park. Yeah.
Yeah. And he filmed it with his hat on. Looked really cool. He's like, "I'm going to be on the Right Community Chat Show together as one. We get it done. Put our logo in there, slogan, everything." But one of the best ones was that comedian that you talked to in Harrogate last year.
Yeah, so you came down.
Queef McDonald. I can never get his name right, but he did this video. Sat in like a room with a tall radiator, like this weird back room, and he was just saying, "I'm going to be on the Right Community Chat Show. They're going to ask me questions. I'm not going to answer them. It's going to get really weird, really awkward, very quickly." And we're like, "What's going on?" And as he wraps it up, and the dog walks around the corner by the radio. He's like, "I hate this radiator. I love that one. I hate this radiator." We're like, "What is he talking about?" And the dog starts spinning in a circle, like round and round and round. And he just goes, "You gotta love the dog." And it was just like, he placed it there by AI, which wasn't a thing then. But it was so well timed. It was the funniest intro we've ever had. And we need to get back to doing that, Chris.
Yeah, he was brilliant, and he was lovely to chat to at Harrogate. Like, I remember being so excited when I saw him. I saw him sat with his wife. They were just having a nice drink. Like, there wasn't a group of people around them and things. And I saw him, and we were with quite a big group at that time because we'd just been round passing. What's she called? Libaga?
You were passing her?
No, Barber, Lizzie Barber.
Lizzie Barber, yeah.
Yeah, we were with her, and we were handing out like books for a promotion. We were hiding things. So I was with her big group, and I saw him sat down. And I was like, I'm going over and chatting to him like he's amazing. His books are hilarious. And the big group left, and it was just me and him. And then we sat for like 2 hours, and I had a chat with him and his wife, and we were just having a drink, and he was so lovely. And then the next day he bought me a copy of his latest book, and he said, "Oh, this comes out," and he gave it to me like 3 months before it came out. And he was really, just a dead genuine, like funny guy. Like, he was asking about my writing and what I was doing, and he was trying to give me tips, and I was asking him about his characters. And I've got so much love for that man. It's untrue, but
in the meantime,
hilarious.
I was just wandering around going, "Where the hell's Chris Hooley gone?" Yeah, but that is the quality of Harrogate. I'm trying to make sure I get the time off to go this year. We've had the invite back, but if you are in the UK, or if you want to travel to the UK to do the Harrogate Crime Writers Festival, we strongly advise it because it is a lot of fun. We basically spend all the time we're not doing interviews in the beer tent, or going out in Harrogate, having food and enjoying drinks and socializing with a lot of people. So it's basically a writer's social drinks event. People take it easy through the day, but people get drunk through the day and the evening and the night. So it's like networking, having fun, balancing that carefully or not so much.
And they do really good events away from Harrogate, don't they? Like they had the reading nights in bars and things like that. There's, people reading their fiction out loud on stage and things like that. Like it is a really good place, and there's so many reviewers and bloggers and people there as well that just love books and talking about writing. And yeah, it's good.
She'd love to go one year. I'd be free in 9 years and 4 months.
We'll be there, Halo.
Yeah,
we'll be there.
Will we?
Yeah, of course we will.
So
9 years, 4 months. Yeah.
Confused me there. Hey, Anya says, hey there, I went to walk Igloo back, and I was thinking she walked to Harrogate and back.
Yeah. How long will that take?
Are you guys putting us up to visit? Do you mean as in putting you up as in staying somewhere?
I mean, you can stay with us. We normally get some sort of accommodation. And yeah, why not? The more the merrier.
We will all gather in a decade. I think we should set that as a plan. No joke. If we haven't made it to America by that point, a decade is the last point that we say, all right, we're definitely going this time. And we all meet up, because the people in the chat tonight have been such great supporters and fans of the show since day one. And we're talking 6 years of loyalty and fun and sharing love and comments and everything. It's been brilliant. So if we cannot meet up in 10 years, then I'll be surprised. It needs to be 3 at least, earliest.
Yeah, and you did miss Ross's fish fetish, which is fun to say.
Fish fetish.
Right.
Chris Hooley, are we wrapping it up soon, or have we got any more requests or questions? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I think we wrap it up.
Do you want to give a summary? What do you think about that? Can you wrap that off?
No, I don't know. Maybe if people could put in the chat a book they would recommend, because obviously we've talked about the most hated, loved hates books. But yeah, maybe a book that people would recommend. Obviously, I started the show off with that, so it's a good cyclical structure. Dungeon Crawler. Yeah, Dungeon Crawler Carl is my recommendation. Go and check that out, especially if you're into video gaming and you like reading, because it blends the two.
Ross said, Agate, can we do a pint in Cardiff? It's not far. Yes, absolutely we can. Halo said, ooh, meat flesh to flesh, film it. Yeah, that can happen. A book I loved recently, You Weren't Meant to Be Human, from Halo.
And you've got one before that as well. Anne Pratchett, Ben Canto or Bel Canto. Probably butchering
that. Palms of the End of the World, Mexican Gothic by Silva Moreno Garcia. What are you thinking about the new Andy Weir adaptation, or the story of it?
Project Hail Mary.
Project Hail Mary, because his previous book was absolutely epic, and the research element was out of this world, literally. But this, with the alien element, is kind of making me think it's not going to be quite as good.
I love Andy Weir, and I think he's a brilliant writer, and I do like Ryan Gosling, obviously. So I'm prepared to entertain this one.
Is he going to fall in love with the alien?
Oh, you have to find out, won't we? But yeah, I'm prepared.
Yeah, is that the triangle you're looking forward to?
Yeah, the love triangle. No, I'm prepared to give this one a go. I think it'd be good.
Black Iris is also fantastic. Halo's currently reading that. Or Division. What the hell is it called? Not sure.
There is no anti-memics agency, QNTM. There's another book that I've been recommended recently called Three Body Problem.
Why don't I know that?
It's a Netflix show. But apparently the book is really good. Apparently it's really good sci-fi and then existential terror towards the end. So if anyone's read that, maybe check that out.
I have seen Three Body Problem. That's why. Yeah, Halo says that TV series is epic. Good book in the series. It's great. So a lot of good reviews for that there, Chris.
I'll check that out because that was on my list of books to read after Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Indeed. So wrapping it up then, Chris. The Writers Forum on Facebook is a place you need to go. If you are not on Facebook as an author, there's lots of forums on there, lots of writing groups that can do a lot of good for you if you engage with in the right way. In terms of the post, over 320 odd comments on there. If you want to see more of them, go onto our post and then check them out. There are so many books mentioned in there that it's definitely worth doing just for a humorous element. And the Query Clinic, I forgot about it then. Go on to Substack and become a Substack paid member. You can submit to the thread once a month, and one of those submissions that might have maybe a bit of work to do on there from our part will be showcased on a video once a month by us, and we'll explain what we've done and why we've done it, which will help you with your editing and developing your work to present. And if you are a founding member, once a month we'll guarantee that your work will get done. Your first 10 pages, your synopsis, your pitch letter, and we'll give you a suggestion of agents to submit that to and advice on how to write the email and everything like that. That will happen as well. So the Query Clinic is now officially open. I think we'll start doing the threads on potentially a Thursday. So we'll have that up and running for next week. So when that thread pops up on Substack, it will be emailed directly to your email account. Go on there and post. It's a thread, so a forum basically where you can post that information. Other people will also see that, so don't be shy about putting your work out there. It's a workshop. It will be critiqued. It will be showcased, but that's all for the good of people in the writing community that are going to see it and develop their own writing as a result of that. So please do get involved with it. But this is pretty much all there for you now. The hard work has been done. There's lots more coming from the Writing Community Chat Show. We've got in May, which is only a month and a bit away, the London Book Fair for the first time. Me and Chris are going to go to in a really kind of like posh looking environment and interview people. Harrogate is in July. So it's a busy year so far. There could be more coming. And as I mentioned, we've got some business plans too. So yeah, it's been a good show. Good questions from you guys. Thank you so much. But yes, please do get involved.
One thing, the next guest, so please join us next week, where we have Dr. Trina Reid on. And Dr. Trina Reid, I'll read you a tiny little bio. I'm a Canadian sexologist with 25 years experience. Is your sex life on life support? Well,
Triangle.
If it is, we have the doctor herself on the show next week talking about her new book. So yeah, I think in terms of funny questions or just pure awkwardness, me and Chris asking a doctor who's a sexologist about
her work is serious.
Her writing. No, I know it is, but it still doesn't mean we're not going to.
Would I ask something inappropriate?
You probably will,
probably
but
will.
she will have covered it for sure. But yeah, come and join us for next week.
We'll ask the sexologist about love triangles as well and see what she comes up with. But yes, it'll be an interesting conversation for sure. 8 o'clock Friday UK time next week, we'll be there, and hopefully you will be too. So from me, thank you very much, Chris. Over to you, and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah. Maybe ask yourself the question, is it on life support? And do I want an answer to that? And if you do, come and join us next Friday because we're bringing the doctor to you.
Yes, Halo says we'll need a blusher meter. Potentially. It's been a while since I blushed on the show, but yeah, we might do. Thank you so much, guys. Honestly, great to chat to you, and we'll see you next week. Please stay safe over the weekend. Good luck, get your writing done, and sign up to Substack. The link will be in the description. If not, head there, look for the Writing Community Chat Show. But bye from us. Have a great weekend, guys. See you soon.